continue with the tradition that we've done for the last 20 years that I've been doing this, and we're going to play the alma mater for the Joliet Township High Schools, and then we will sing it, and then we'll play it another time, and Angela will lead you in that. And then we will go straight into the Joliet Central loyalty and straight into the Joliet West loyalty. So if you know those tunes, at least sing live if you've forgotten the words. Here we go. It takes a long time to turn your music when it's windy. Let's hear it from Joliet Central, Joliet West alumni. Please give yourself a nice round of applause. Thank you very much. It's a very special night for us tonight, everyone. We're celebrating in 2025. We are celebrating our 120th anniversary. 120 years, there has been an orchestra program in Joliet. I'll save a little more of the story in between pieces. We're going to play a great piece for you right now called Troika. Hope you enjoy it. I lost my baton. That's what Jordan just did, is she went to look and see if my baton had dropped out somewhere. So if anyone has a baton, Pam, do you have a baton on you? Does anybody have a baton? Teresa? No, okay, I might have to conduct with my maracas. Do you have a baton? It's behind me? Don is behind me. What is that? Is it a shish kebab with a piece of hamburger on the end of it? Thank you. I tell you what, I'll pass on the flour and I'll conduct with the stick. We got a straw. We're getting closer. Thank you. We went from about 4 inches to 6 inches. That's good. That's good. Thank you so much. We're going to play a piece by a composer who writes really well for young people called Robert Longfield, and this is a piece called Vortex. Brian Barron on the beautiful violin solo. Don Stinson on that beautiful baton delivery. And the trade-off of a straw. I get a $95 baton from Mollard, and he got a straw that was given to somebody. So, thank you all for that. That's a fun piece for us to play. As I said, this is our 120th anniversary. 10 years ago, we were in a position of finding the money somehow, and we did it through foundation grants and Ecolab grants and a couple of other ways. We commissioned two pieces. One was called Sinfonietta by William Hofeld, written for our 110th anniversary. And the piece we're about to play for you right now called Stone and Steel by Richard Meyer. These pieces were written 10 years ago. We decided to celebrate our anniversary by playing them for you again. Richard Meyer did a lot of research on this piece, on Joliet. He researched the barges moving stone a century ago, the industry that started Joliet's population booming, and I think you're going to hear some of that. And there's a little bit of sort of 60s, 70s sort of kind of radio music in the middle that's kind of funky, that celebrates a little bit of Joliet's early history, the middle part of last century. Stone and Steel by Richard Meyer. So just to tell you a little bit about the program, we have about 150 in the program at 2 schools. I teach 2 periods, 1 string class and 1 advanced chamber orchestra called the Philharmonia at Joliet Central West, and then I go to Central and I teach 3 periods. There are 2 sections of string orchestra and 1 of the Philharmonia. We also have this orchestra, which is called the Festival Orchestra, which is everybody, and we do this concert, and we also do an orchestra festival day with our District 86 feeder schools, our sender schools, which is a lot of fun. And when we do that concert, we have it in October, and we have it at the Joliet West Field House, and last year we had 460 kids playing together in Joliet. I think that's amazing. I think that's amazing. It's not amazing for me, it's amazing for you. 2 sentences. I grew up in Oak Forest. We didn't have a string program. I'm a French horn player and a pianist, but I've always wanted to be an orchestra conductor. And you are very lucky because orchestra programs are few and far between in this part of the state of Illinois, even fewer and far betweener as you get into central Illinois and southern Illinois. So this part of curricular music programs is not as prevalent as you think it might be. There are bands all over the place. There aren't orchestras all over the place. And so it's a privilege to teach in Joliet. It's been a privilege of mine to have been here for 20 years. And it should be a privilege of yours to have a school system that supports such, from sender schools all the way up, that supports this, because this doesn't come cheaply. It does not come cheaply. Thank you very much. I'm going to do a quick thank you to our school board and our administrators who support me in everything I do and everything behind me, which runs into hairy amounts of costs and logistics sometimes, and they support us tremendously, and I want to thank them, and I want to thank you. And the next piece we're going to play for you is a piece by William Holfeld, as I said, wrote us a piece 10 years ago called Sinfonietta, but that piece is 16 minutes long and it's in 4 movements, and I didn't think that was going to be appropriate for out here, especially if it was 95 degrees or it was rainy or something. But isn't it a gorgeous night tonight? So we're going to play 1 movement. It's a short movement, it's a pretty movement, and the students like it. It's a sonata for strings by William Holfeld, and we're playing the 2nd movement. So this process of our 120th anniversary, I've been thinking about and working on for about 3 years. And 2 years ago, I decided on a composer. And how you do this is really very, very simple. You send them an email and you say, we're celebrating our 120th anniversary. Would you like to write us a piece? And he did. And Kurt Mosier answered us. And he's really, I wrote him and I said, we're doing a piece by you right now, and the kids really love it. And it's called Danza di Ballo. And when I said that I was thinking about you to write a piece for us for our 120th anniversary, the kids were just screaming with joy that he might write us a piece. So here it is. It's called Danza Fuoco. And it says on every single piece of paper, and on the front cover, and this will be distributed worldwide, it says, commissioned to celebrate the 120th anniversary of the Joliet Township High School Orchestras, Joliet, Illinois, Peter Lipari, director. This will go out worldwide in December. And on every piece of music, and on the score, on every piece of music for every instrument, says that same dedication. So, finding a way to find the money for that these days was tricky, but we managed with the generosity of many people, and that's all in the program. So I hope you take a QR code of a picture of this and look at it in great detail. And we offered some perks and benefits for the people who donated to us, and 3 of those people are here tonight, and I would like them to stand. They gave a very, very generous kickstart to our fundraising, and without them, I don't think we've raised $5,000 in 2 weeks. That's what we did. And these 3 people helped us to do that, so I would like to single them out. Dr. Rouse, who's Superintendent of District 86, please stand and thank you. Mrs. Pam Brining, and her husband, Mr. Brining, gave us another chunk of change that we could not have done this piece without. And part of other contribution levels included getting a program for tonight, like I said, the ones in the QR code. They also, Kurt Mosier, the composer of this piece, we've blown up the front page of the score, and he assigned them, and those went to another half a dozen people. And thank you even to the people who gave $25, because every $25 really counts when you're trying to raise $5,000. So thank you, City of Joliet. This is your piece written for your high school for their 120th anniversary, which is outstanding that in 1905 there was a string program at JT. So this is the world premiere of this piece. After tonight, this is going to the press worldwide. It'll be published for everyone to play and for Joliet to be very full of pride of. So enjoy. It's called Danza Fuoco. And let me tell you this other part of this story. So he says, so what would you like it to be? And I said, well, we're working on a piece called Danza di Ballo. How about Danza di Ballo 2? You know, like Rocky 2 or something like that. I couldn't think of anything. And he said, no, that's kind of cheesy, and besides, I can't do it. The publisher of Danza di Ballo I'm no longer working for them, so we can't publish that same title with it. So he said, do you have any ideas? And then he listed 10 in the email. And I said, how about something really just spunky and punchy and vibrant and short that everybody will remember? I said, how about like Danza Fuoco? So he emails me back 2 hours later and says, that's the name of the piece. Great idea. So Danza Fuoco, we got to choose the name, and we got to choose the style it was going to be in, and it in fact is based on his Danza di Ballo. So enjoy. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of the concert.